Good morning, everyone. Welcome to your Mindful Pilates video for Wednesday, August 11th, 2021. I will be somewhere out in Ansel Adams Wilderness, hopefully. We'll see what the smoke does. It's pretty smoky here in Grass Valley today. But I wanted you to have a class to go to while I was gone, so let's get started. Okay, let's come to standing. And let's plant our heels beneath our sit bones. Let's feel the four corners of the feet on the floor. In fact, let's lift the balls of the feet. Stretch your metatarsals forward, stretch your toes forward, and just set them gently down. Then come onto the balls of the feet, lift the heels, stretch the heels back behind you and lay them down. And then let's lean over to the right and feel the right outer edge, the left inner edge of the foot. And then slowly come across, feeling the flats of the feet to the other side. And then let's come back to center, really aware of the feet. And now let's lift the toes, lift the arches. And let's lift and lengthen from the feet up the legs. Now we want to draw energy up the calves, through the knee, down the shin. And draw energy down the hamstring, through the knee, up the quads, through the groins. And we want to align the pelvis. So those of us that tend to tuck will hollow the groins back more. Those of us who tends to have an over accentuated lumbar curve will drop the tailbone and gently lift the pubic bone. We want the pelvis upright. And from that pelvis, we lengthen up the side bodies. We lengthen up the back body from the pelvis up to the lowest back ribs. And for a lot of us, this is an important stretch, this waistline, to decompress the lumbar. Okay. And then from these lowest ribs, we stretch up to the armpit, we stretch up to the front chest, and we work on the fact that most of us have dropped these arm bones forward in life because we do so much forward folding. So we want to open the pec minor. We want to open the front of the chest so that the shoulder blades can sit on the back body. And at first, it may feel like we're straining away from these pulls towards gravity. But over time, as we open this chest up from low ribs to shoulder, we'll feel more of a spaciousness in this upper thoracic spine. Okay, now from the shoulder blades on the back, which may externally rotate your arm bones and turn your palms out a little bit, we broaden across the collarbones, broaden the shoulders. So the neck has a great place to sit. And we draw this little hyoid bone back in and up, and this neck crease smiles. And our head sits like a ball on a fingertip, swirling. And now we've come into awareness of postural alignment. Feel into it. And notice if you tend to go back to any of your habits, like my habits would be to throw my knees back, which shortens my low back, drop my belly forward. So I soften my knees, I lift the pubic bone, I release the tail. So we learn our habits. And then we become mindful of them, and then we rise and lengthen out of them. And then let's inhale and reach the arms skyward, lifting the thumbs, breathing and stretching into the back body. We create space between the ribs. Let's let the lower ribs go away from the lifting thumbs. Breathe space into the back body. Try to feel the breath roll up the back. Expand from side to side with the breath. And then let your arms float back down. Feel for the shoulder blades coming onto the back body. And don't feel like you have to have stiff arms here. The elbows can go first. We let the head of the arm bone become heavy. We let the base of the skull rest back. And we have a lifted heart. Now, can we maintain this lift, this awareness in the upper body, this looking out at the mountaintop, and begin to lift a leg and begin marching? Warm our bodies up a little bit if we haven't been for a walk yet. Like on a day like this, it's hard. Even those of us who usually go walking in the early morning may not want to go out in that air. So we stay long, we stay lifted. The arms can begin to swing. Now, yes, the spine moves. Look how as my arms swing, my spine twists a little bit, twisting toward the lifting leg. That's good. We want a spring-like action. We want movement in the spine. It's fluid, but we don't want to hunch and give in to the shoulders and arm bones coming forward. We stay lifted from here. We stay aware of the low back ribs. And maybe we go a little faster. Fluid breath. Maybe we'll go a little lower to go a little faster to keep everything lifting. Hot air balloon lifting us from the palate. We swing like marionette puppets. Good, and then let's pause and let's begin some side lunges. Hands to the hips, we lunge and center and lunge and center, lunge and center, lunge and center. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, lunge and center, lunge and center. Now, if you want to add an arm, we reach and center, reach across the body, center, cross and center, cross and center. Fluid breath, aware of how you land on your feet, using the whole of the foot to support you. Doesn't all necessarily land at once. Like I feel my ball landing first. Fluid breath, fluid motion. We come back to center, heart lifted, and we go marching. March, 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 march. Heart lifted, lift, 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 lift. And we pause and we lunge and center and lunge and center and lunge, center and lunge, and swing, center and swing, center and swing, center and swing. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, swing, swing, and center. Okay, let's lift our arms one more time, reach the thumbs skyward, open into our goalpost and bring the pinkies together. And open wide, and pinkies together, and open and lift the chest. Pinkies together, trying to warm up different muscle groups in the body. Fluid breath, we reach and close. Inhale and exhale, opening and closing, opening and closing. Now, can we do some of this? And lift and close, lift and close, lift, close, lift, close. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale. Can we keep the chest lifted? Multitasking in the body at the beginning of our mindful movement class. Getting the heart rate up a little bit, some blood pumping into the muscle tissue. And let's pause. Circle the arms. Circle one arm and then the other, and invite the myofascia of the shoulders to move. Now, can we not be so intent on how hard we're doing it that we can lift and stretch and then relax the shoulder down, lift, release, lift, release, so that the release becomes part of our establishment of spaciousness, that these muscles don't always have to be working. Part of what we're doing is stretching the body open. So, it's even better if I stretch side to side, because then I get more of the myofascial network to stretch. Fluid breath. We move, and we move. And then let's pause. And let's lift the arms and let the elbows rest in water. Good. Can we release the arms and lift and release? As you release, can you release the head of the arm bone away from the collarbones? Just really try to let them relax down and release and relax and lift and release and lift and release. So we begin moving the arms, but we're not so intent on this motion, on strengthening the shoulder, that we over tighten it. We're working on some fluid motion here. And we might lift and release and lift and release, lift. So we move in different directions, allowing for some fluid motion, trying to get this ease and grace into the body and have the limbs supported. So I step and lift, and step, then release, step, then release. Really try to feel that release even up in the shoulder. Yeah. Good. And let's pause. And let's relax and let the hands go. Let the neck lengthen. Breathe space between the vertebrae. Let the head rest back. The low ribs rest back. How much can you let go the arm bone in the shoulder joint? Let the arm bone stretch away from the neck. Good. Now let's pick up our hand weights. And let's feel into this again. So if you're not using hand weights, you just imagine I'm holding something heavy in my hands. And I'm going to let the left arm descend. And I'm going to lengthen the neck towards the right a little bit. It's like it's side leaning. And I'm feeling into the muscles, neck connecting shoulder. And if we have osteoporosis, we're not taking it too far. If we don't, the ear can come down farther towards the shoulder. Hi, are you helping me with that left hand? Yeah, you want that hand weight, don't you? All right. And then we look down towards the floor. No, that's my hand weight. And then we look up a little towards the sky. And you're really subtle about it because we're working with small bones, small muscles, but we let the hand hang heavy, even heavier if Izzy's pulling on it. And we come back up, okay, and we take the head the other way towards the left. First, find length, like the hot air balloons, stretching the neck and the wind's blowing a little bit. The body stays long, the feet are grounded, but the head gets to shift. And the right arm is heavy into the hand weight. For those of us who can bend further, we bring the ear towards the shoulder. And we may turn the gaze slightly towards the floor. Now with osteoporosis and pena, you're really gentle with this head. The head is more upright. We get a little bit of a stretch, fluid breath. And then we come back up and then bobble the head. Now, can we keep the neck and shoulders feeling that kind of lengthening and release and bring the hands forward and snow angel the arms up and release the arms down. Now, a lot of times what happens is we swing the arms down and this head of the arm bone is kind of stuck up because muscles are tight and it bumps into the bones above it. So we want to think of swing up. Can you release the head of the arm bone away from those upper collarbones and release it down and feel into the shoulder blade turning on the back. So the shoulder blades, keep going. The shoulder blades on your back are kind of going like this as you open. Okay, so feel for that motion. Feel for that motion. Strengthening the arms. Can we lift up and pause, arms wide? Can you release at the base of the neck and broaden the shoulders? Can you keep releasing the head of the arm bone as the arm comes down? Let's do a few more. Inhale, really slowly. Feel the head of the arm bone release down as the hand rises up. Can you keep releasing the head of the arm bone down, down, down? Then it kind of rises back up. We lift, we release it. We open. Okay. And then we pause with the breath. And we lift the arms and we feel out through the hands. And we lengthen the spine and we rest the head back and we rest the neck back into the neck crease. And we let the tailbone descend, and we lift the base of the skull skyward, and we lift the low back ribs away from the pelvis. And feel into your outer shoulder blade and release and roll the shoulders. And then let's lift our arms one more time here and open and close and open, close. Let's inhale and exhale. Can you be aware of your feet on the floor, the four corners, the three arches, energy running up the calves, through the knees, down the shins, down the hamstrings, through the knees, up the quads, through the groins, your pelvis upright, your spine long, hot air balloon lifting you. We come to open and we press and release and press and release. Broad shoulders, let the shoulders reach out towards the elbows. We press and we broaden and we press and we broaden and we press and broaden and press and broaden. Bring the arms in and release and roll the shoulders. Okay, so we've warmed up some of the tissues of the body. Before we lay down today, I want us to do a stretch of the shoulders. So I want us to come over to a wall or a doorway. So it might work if you have a doorway or a windowsill to bring your hand actually into it. I want you to bring the outside arm across your ribs and wrap your fingers around your rib cage. And then I want you to draw the head of the arm bone back, okay? So for the arm against the window, draw the head of the arm bone back and keep it there. Now you can kind of turn towards the wall. You might have your hand on the wall like this, wrist open. This might be harder on the wrist. So if you have a windowsill and wrist issues, you can come in. Now we're going to start turning away from the arm. Make sure the extended arm isn't hyperextended at the elbow. The head of the arm bone's back. And we twist just until we're like, aha, there's a good stretch, either down my arm or in my front chest. Holding on to the ribs, and I'm helping turn my rib cage with my hand. And then I find my feet beneath me. I'm not doing some cockeyed thing with the hips. I'm lengthening up and turning out. Fluid breath. I don't know where that word comes from. Lengthening. Breathing into the chest. Head of the arm bone is drawing back. So I'm not throwing it forward in the rotator cuff. And then you can kind of play a little bit. You can, again, lengthen the neck away towards, see where in your body, like if I do this with my head, I feel it more in my chest here. If I take it over, I feel it more in my neck. So we play really subtly with the body to help us open. We breathe deeply into the stretch, and then we turn back towards the wall to release so that we're not releasing with the arm in a funny position. And then just feel your arms. Like it looks, even in the screen, it looks like my right arm or my left arm in your picture is longer. Okay, so let's try the other side. The hand comes up into the windowsill or comes up onto the wall. My other hand wraps around the rib cage. I'm going to show it to you from the back. I draw the head of the arm bone back, and then I spin. Now, yes, you could try it lower towards the hip. You'll get a little different stretch. Mid, you could even try a little higher. For me, that's really good there. And then we turn away. We keep the low back ribs reaching back. We keep the head of the arm bone grounding back. And we breathe into the stretch. Our feet are planted. We're thinking about our postural alignment, but not so much that we can't side bend a little or take the neck into a little different angle, but be really subtle so you don't strain yourself. Fluid breath. This side is tighter. This is my left hand. I'm left-handed. And then we exhale and release. Now let's roll the shoulders and let your arms dangle. Pretend like you're holding the hand weights. Let the shoulders release away from the ears. Let the arm bones release in the shoulder socket. So this is a place where we can become hypertonic, where we're drawing the head of the arm bones up into the bone above it. We want to let go, let the arm bones go, have some spaciousness in that shoulder joint. Fluid breath. Okay, let's come to the floor. Let's open the blanket, pillow if we need one. Oh, let's also go ahead and get our ball and get our circle TheraBand. I already have my long TheraBand out. Okay. And let's rest back. Constructive rest. Now, those of you who like to move a lot may think, okay, why am I spending so much time here? And it's because we want to open the psoas. Okay, come over here. Fluid breath. So our feet, our knees are bent, our feet are on the floor close to our sit bones, and this position helps the psoas relax inside the pelvis and up along the spine. And we really take some fluid, three-dimensional breaths into the pelvic bowl, down towards the pelvic floor. And we exhale, relaxing into the hug of gravity. Now feel, can your head of your arm bone rest back? Can your shoulders rest broad? We really did warm them up and we even stretched them open a little bit. So maybe that helps you rest the arm bones back. Let's inhale and lift the arms, the fingers skyward. And notice if your tendency is to really lift the humerus bone up away from the floor. And then let that humerus bone settle down towards the floor in the shoulder socket and then lift it up and settle it down and lift it up. And try to relax as you settle it down. Again, we're reminding the muscles of the body, you can release and create space. Lift and release. Lift and release. Fluid breath. Perhaps it's an inhale, exhaled, release, and you can move slower. Stretch it up. Feel how that impacts the neck and head. Release. You can nod the nose a little more towards the mouth. Lengthen the back of the neck. Space between the vertebrae. It's all interconnected. We reach up, we release, and then let's reach up. And let's stretch the arms overhead. Now, some of you may want to put a bolster or a couch pillow or some yoga blocks behind your wrists, and let's rest open. Let's notice if the body wants to flare the ribs up to get the arms down or turn the chin skyward. We want to stay long, even if that means we're hovering the hands above the floor. Fluid breath. But feel free if you want to just explore this as a stretch to later put a bolster behind your hands or some pillows and let yourself rest into this opening. I remember a very dear yoga teacher in Fairbanks used to say, we don't pick enough apples anymore. We don't have our arms overhead. Now in California, we probably do more of that kind of thing. We exhale and bring the arms back down by our hips, arms relaxed and broad. Now, let's float one leg to tabletop and float it back down, landing light as a feather. Can you stay aware of your shoulders and arm bones? And can you invite them to relax and not be hypertense around the neck? Can the neck be in its natural cervical curve released? Jaw released, eyes relaxed, muscles of the face relaxed as we slowly march and begin to warm up the abdominal core. Now let's rest the feet. Take an inhale through your nostrils and exhale through pursed lips. Feel the transverse abdominis, the corset muscle engage. A few more breaths like this where you inhale through the nostrils and exhale out through pursed lips, becoming aware of your transverse abdominis. What we notice consciously, we can activate unconsciously. So really try to be in your waistline, in your pelvis, feeling for the activation. Some people describe it as a smile line from hip pointer to hip pointer. See if you can feel that smile line. Now on the next exhale, see if you can gently lift the pelvic floor. And inhale, soften. And exhale, lift the pelvic floor. Now notice if your shoulders are trying to help. Can the shoulders stay relaxed? And you really concentrate on awakening the transverse abdominis and the pelvic floor. We soften to fill. And then we exhale actively, which is opposite of what we often do. Now just feel in towards your spine and notice, do you feel any kind of stabilizing muscles kind of stabilize between the vertebrae? Feel for them. And if you feel them, can we be thankful and offer all these muscles that help us stabilize our core gratitude? These are our inner stabilizers, the transverse abdominis, the pelvic floor, and the multifidi. Okay, if you need a ball or a block underneath your sacrum for our series of 5, then you can put it there. Otherwise, let's exhale up to our tabletop. And let's open pages of the book. Take the left leg out to the left. Right body is relaxed and grounded, and we exhale back to center. And then we take the right leg out to the right, left shoulder grounding, but in a relaxed way. So can we offer a heaviness to the body that helps us ground, that doesn't overactivate the muscles, so that we can keep a sense of space in the body? Can we, in essence, use our own weight and the hug of gravity to help us create fluid motion in one limb? Sometimes we're overactive. We try to do more than we need to. Can we instead be in the body, be heavy in the body while the one leg moves? Fluid breath. Like the rest of the body is earth, and this one moving limb is the deer bouncing across it. Fluid breath. Good, and then let's hug the knees in and circle. Good morning, hips, circle the other way. And then let's begin our series. Let's draw the right leg in, lengthen the left leg out, left hand on inner knee, right hand on ankle. We may nod the nose towards the mouth and almost lift from the hairline. Some of us may lift and look, stretch the spine long, and we switch and switch and switch and switch. Can you find fluid breath? And even here with the arms working, can you notice where the head of the arm bone is and not strain it up towards the ears? Let it be released down into the joint. It doesn't need to be tense. Long back of the neck, reaching the base of the skull away from the base of the neck. And then we hug the knees in and we reach hands and feet for the sky, and we take them away from each other to our point of control. Low back rib grounding back, we circle and hug. We inhale and exhale, we reach and we close. Can you find that midline from heels in towards pelvic floor, inner thighs magnetizing towards each other? We inhale and exhale. And we come back up to our tabletop for a moment, and let's take the left leg out to the left. The rest of the body ground, it's earth, it's wet soil. The right leg out to the right. So we just did something really active. Can you go back to passive in the shoulders? Can you go back to passive in head and neck? Can you come back to your fluid 3-dimensional breath? And can you not take the movements too far? It's a really interesting practice to go from something really active back towards stillness in a part of the body. Okay, so let's bring the right leg overhead, left leg long, and we'll pulse, pulse, small movements, pulse, pulse. We swish, pulse, pulse, and swish, pulse, pulse, and swish. So we don't bounce like a foot with each leg. Yes, that might feel like a stretch, but that kind of bouncing stretch, they don't really think has much benefit to us. We come out and we may reach, we may come far open, pulse, pulse, and then it's a slow controlled switch. Pulse, 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 and pulse, pulse. Again, shoulders broad, relaxing back. Can the head and neck relax? Can you work from the low ribs down through the pelvis? It is work for the core. And then we come back up and bend the knees and soften again. The knees may even come towards the chest, and we come into those full 3-dimensional breaths, softening the arm bones back, broadening across the back body. This is a mindfulness practice. Can we stay mindful of this relaxed upper body and bring the legs back to tabletop? And let's do single leg toe dips to begin. Feel the cross myofascia. What happens as you toe dip the right leg and you toe dip the left leg? Is there any cross body pattern where you actually feel tension? And it's interesting with my scoliosis, as I toe dip the right leg, I feel a little strain in the left neck. But when I toe dip the left leg, I don't feel that so much in the right. So we're getting to know our own bodies. So feel into, what actually feels pulled when I lower a foot? Now you can stay with these, or you can double leg toe dip. Feel into the shoulders, still being earthy and heavy. The low back ribs may actively be grounding back. And you may feel some tension up into the back body and the shoulders and neck, but we're trying not to. But we're not trying so hard that it becomes effort. And one more. And then we come back up, draw the knees in, and let's circle around the perimeter of the sacrum, massaging the SI joints, and take the circles the other way. Where can you relax as you circle? Okay. And then we float the hands behind the head, flat to flat. Let's do it the funny way today. And let's exhale, and let's just work on the upper body for a moment. Keep the legs as they are. Lift the right elbow, lengthen the spine, let the head rest back, the highway bone rest back, and lift the elbow, the shoulder blade a little more. Feel how the right ribs are reaching across towards the left hip pointer. Now with osteoporosis or penia, we stay long and we concentrate on the lift of the elbow. Others may bring the right armpit towards the left knee. And then we come back. Now let's lift the left elbow. Left shoulder blade comes off the floor. We lengthen the spine. We rest the head back. We lift the elbow again. Feel how you're getting into that waistline and bringing the left ribs towards the right hip pointer. And then come back. And we reach and lengthen the leg. I think that's my mother's phone. We reach and lengthen the leg. Fluid breath, reach and release, reach and release. The other knee can come hugging in. We can reach the armpit towards the opposite knee if that's in our repertoire. We lift the elbow towards the sky. We let the head really rest heavy, head and neck. The arm bones are nestled into their socket. We lift the elbow, and that lifts the shoulder blade. Fluid breath, we're waking up the obliques. We become aware of the low rib reaching across towards the opposite hip pointer. We want to awaken these myofascial chains because they support us in our movements in life. When we're conscious of them, we begin to use them unconsciously. This is how we break patterns that may not be the healthiest in our bodies. Let's release the arms and float one leg to the floor and then the other. Let's bring the flats of the feet together and allow the knees to open and the shoulders to really rest back. Come back to your 3-dimensional breath towards the pelvic floor. Exhaling and relaxing the whole body. Where can you let the tension go? Come back into awareness of the jaw, the neck, the head, the shoulders. And let's bring the feet back up, bring the arms up, and inhale. Take the arms overhead, low back rib ring resting back, back of the neck long. We bring the arms overhead. Maybe they're hovering, maybe they're resting down. Maybe we've set up a bolster for them. And let's exhale the arms back down to the floor. Let's inhale, lift the arms. Lift the head of the arm bone away from the floor and then release it back down and lift and release and lift and release. Feel the releasing action. Let it really release. And then lift up, and one more time, take it over and along, and see if you can rest the low back ribs. Fluid breath. Let's inhale through our nostrils and exhale through pursed lips. Feel for the waking up of the transverse abdominis. Feel for the multifidi, the pelvic floor, whichever of those you want to become more conscious of. And let's exhale the hands back down and bring the right ankle over the left femur bone and let the right knee rest open. Now, for some of you, if you have a yoga block nearby or a footstool, you could lift up and put your foot on that, or you could put your foot on the ball. Okay, and that's going to be enough of a stretch. For others, you'll reach a TheraBand around and you'll hold the TheraBand to draw the leg in. And for some, you'll bring the hands around. Now we keep the back of the neck long, the hyoid bone resting back. And we may rock from side to side. We keep the right foot alive, the four corners alive, so that we're not sickling the foot, which will pull in a funny way on the knee. And then we find that place where we can really breathe into the hips. Now, even here, can you rest the arm bones back into the hug of gravity? So we have this tendency of, oh, now my arms need to be working, and they're used to curling forward, so we curl them forward. Let them rest back, heavy. The head rest back, heavy. As you breathe in, invite space into between the vertebrae, invite space into the hip. And let yourself move around gently and explore the joints. And pause where you feel like you need the stretch most and breathe into it. And exhale, relax and release into it. If you can't relax the tissue, you've taken the stretch too far. And then we exhale and release the left foot to the ground and the right foot, and we switch sides. And if we need a ball or a block or a footstool, we put that under the right foot. And this is where we pause, keeping the left foot awake. Some of us will reach through, and then we rock. Now for me, it's interesting. My left hip is much tighter than my right. So my better alignment on days that I feel a little stiff is to have my hands around the femur instead of the shin. I can still rest my hyoid bone back, but I have to be conscious of doing it on this side. So think and feel into your own body. Are you different side to side? Can you give yourself a moment to open up? This side for me will open, but I need to be here longer. Or maybe I need to do the left side twice. Fluid breath. Exhaled, release. Gentle movements to find where the stretch is best in your body today. Shoulders releasing back, neck and jaw and base of the skull relaxed. And then we slowly release back down. And let's turn onto our sides and do a little side work. Okay. All right. So you may bring a pillow in over a long extended arm. You may double the pillow and bring your arm perpendicular to your body. And I'll work from here today. Heels aligned with sit-bones. It's good to mix it up. Okay. So here we are. I want us to lift feet and open the clamshell and close and open and close. I just made a video for the OOF people yesterday, and we did this with TheraBands, and my hip is tight. Woo-hee. Okay, one more. And then let's straighten out the legs, and let's float the pinky and heel up and down and lift and lower. Fluid breath. Good to stretch it out after doing that work earlier in the week. Yes. And then we float, heel in line, foot in line with hip. We point and kick and flex and draw back. Now notice, if I were to take this far, my whole torso would want to turn towards the floor. I'm grounding back through awake shoulder blades, through awake arm bones. And that helps me to stabilize. I'm actually slightly lifting this low side off the mat so that I activate that side like we do in our side flexion when we do the rainbows. Maybe we'll do those next. And one more. And then foot down the mat, we circle 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then bring it right up over the foot. And again, circle 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then knee turns out, toe traces up the inseam. We lift, flex, and lower. We draw, lift, flex, and lower, and draw, lift, flex, and lower. Now point and lift, bend and draw, lift, bend and draw, lift, bend and draw. And let's bend the knees in. Hello to the hips. While we're on this side, let's move the pillow out of the way and come up onto the forearm. Remember, you can bend, you can double your mat in to have more padding for your forearm, okay? And you want the elbow out from the shoulder. We rainbow. You could almost lift here, and that's gonna activate the side body. Feel that. I don't even have to lift the hips off the floor to activate the side body, or you can lift the hips and lower. Now this brings weight bearing into this humerus bone and to the forearm, which is good work for osteoporosis and penia. Okay, if you have osteoporosis, you want to check with your doctor about how much weight bearing your arm bones should be doing. Maybe it is keeping the hip on the ground and lifting the waistline. Okay, that's still weight bearing on the arm. So you find out what's best in your body. We lift and lower. Now, some of you can stay with that. Some can lengthen the leg, bring the top foot perpendicular and lift into a side plank. Do what's best in your body. Some of you can stay with that, some can stack. Don't stack too soon. If you start to feel like, okay, now I'm compromised in this shoulder, then come back to here, press down with the foot to help with the lift, and we lower. All right, let's switch sides. Okay, on this side, I'm going to put my head in my hand because I have this earpiece in. Okay. Heels aligned with sit bones. We find, now with my scoliosis, it's harder to lift this side off the ground, the head lifted, but I'm aware of this idea of activating the lower side. We lift the heels and open and close. And inhale and exhale. Fluid breath. Active hand can connect to active shoulder. Now, it's interesting because I tend to overactivate in my shoulders and I'm playing with this lower shoulder. It doesn't have to be lifted by my ear the whole time. This arm bone can rest away and I can still activate the lower side body. In fact, that's good work for me. And then we lengthen the legs out and we float the leg up, pinky and heel evenly and lower. We lift and lower and we come back to the breath. Inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale, inhale and exhale. Fluid breath, fluid movement. And then we float above and we kick, flex and draw. We kick, flex and draw. So now I'm aware of shoulders, low back, ribs, sacrum, because those are going to help me stop from moving the upper body with the leg. Teaching the leg bone to dissociate. Down the mat, we circle 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. over the foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Other way. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we turn the knee out. We draw up, lift, flex, and lower. Draw, lift, flex, and lower. Draw, lift, flex, and lower. And we point, lift, bend, and draw, lift, bend, and draw, lift, bend, and draw. Thank you, hips. Come up onto the forearm. If you want more mat padding, you draw it in. Heels aligned with sit bones. We inhale and either almost lift the hips or lift them, and we exhale back down. And we inhale. And we exhale. Fluid motion, fluid breath. Really grounding down into this arm. Fluid with the other arm. Easy in the arm joint. By that, I mean not over tense. So we either stay with the rainbows, or you can lift the rainbow right here, or you can lengthen the legs, bring the top leg over and lift into your side plank. And really use the perpendicular foot, or you can stack. Fluid breath. Shoulders aware of each other, spreading the wings, reaching the head out of the base of the shoulders. Breathing three-dimensionally, we lower the pelvis. Beautiful. Let's come up to tabletop. And let's inhale a cow. Let's exhale through neutral. Take the tailbone down first. Roll up one vertebrae at a time into your hissing cat. Press hands away from knees. And then we inhale. And we open. And we exhale and we become the hissing cat. Okay. So one thing that I like to think about here that I've been thinking about is, you know, you don't have gravity pulling on the front of the vertebrae the same way you do when you're standing. So Pilates has these like roll-ups where you're rolling up, and it's contraindicated for people with osteoporosis. But here I'm thinking, if you step your arms and legs wider and you come into something of a cat, you don't have gravity pulling one vertebrae into the other, you're lifting them. You might be able to maintain some space between the front of the vertebrae. You may not come as far into your cat, but you get that feel, sensation, stretch of the cat. The opening of the back vertebrae away from each other. One more. Good. And big toes together, knees wide. Let's lay back, forehead to the floor. Can you breathe into the low back ribs? Breathe in behind the shoulder blades. Can you rest the arm bones into the sockets? Can you breathe along the outside edge of the shoulder blade? Now, resting the hands onto the floor. Some of you will come into a dolphin. Some may come to the wall to do half dog or half dolphin. Okay, to have less pressure on the arms, we roll the toes under and we come up to downward dog. So those of you who are in dog can stay there. Those of you who need to not have as much weight on the wrists or hands, remember you can always bring a chair in and you can come to forearms and step back and stretch a little bit. Right here, good shoulder stretch, good shoulder opening. Not as much weight on the arm bones. You could come to your hands and step back again. You know, there's a point where I can even lift my hands off and stretch. Some of you may choose to do this at the wall, coming into your dog. Again, you could come to fingertips if your wrists are an issue. So I'm just trying to show you, you can alter the poses. You don't have to do it completely weight bearing on the ground. And the last one would be using the yoga strap where you come in and you let yourself hang. I highly recommend doing this, even if you can't do it during class because you have no doorknobs in your house. Let the arms be long. Maybe the elbows bend and your forearms come towards the floor. And you can put a little bit of weight on your arms if you move your legs back enough. And you can take a little bit of that weight, but you don't have to take all of it. Same thing here with downward dog. I can weight my arms if I want to. I can take my weight off my arms if I want to. All the while, I'm getting a nice lengthening in the whole of the spine, but I'm not overdoing the work in the arms and hands if I've had an injury or a surgery. Okay. All right. If you're in downward dog, walk your feet towards your hands, hands towards your feet, knees bent. We inhale up and unhinge. And we pause in mountain pose. Hot air balloon lifting us skyward. Arm bones resting out of the shoulder socket. Shoulder blades lovingly hugging on the back body. We lift the heart center. We exhale and soften the upper body. Soften the base of the neck. Breathe space between the vertebrae of the neck. Really concentrate on the neck today. The shoulders. And then let the arms just move fluidly again. Try to let them be like water. Fluid motion. Can you circle the shoulders and let them release? Circle, release. Fluid breath. Stretch the arm, release. Stretch the arm, release. Can you feel yourself stretching the myofascia of the rib cage and torso open? Creating space in the body will help us create fluid motion. It's not all about strength. It's about ease of movement so that we can get stronger, so that we can do more of what we want to do. And then pause again in your mountain. Can you snow angel, arms up? And as the arms come up, let the head of the arm bone go. And release back down. Can your elbows soften as you move? Let's swing the arms around to one side. Let the arm bones soften down overhead and they come around. We inhale, they soften, they release. Each arm's doing something slightly different because it's rotating a different direction. We come up, we release the arm bones in. Fluid breath, fluid motion. Good. Now let's come to sitting on the chair. We're going to come back to the abdominal core, but we're not going to overactivate in the arms and shoulders. So we inhale up, we rest the elbows, we rest the humerus bone down. We let the hot air balloon lift us skyward and we float back. Strong core, front ribs to hip pointers, long spine, elbows resting. We float one arm up. As we do, the head of the arm bone rests down and down. We lift and lower and lift and lower. All the while the core is working. We're long in the back body, the back of the spine. And then we inhale and we grow taller and we reach up and we reach the thumbs up. We reach the low ribs away from the pelvis and we exhale, the arms down like wings of a bird. And we roll the shoulders and we lengthen the neck and we lift the base of the skull away from the base of the neck. And we inhale, arms up and rest them in water and lean back. Feel this front abdominal core activate. Take an inhale, exhale through pursed lips. Feel even more of that activation. Can you find your pelvic floor? One more. And then on the next exhale through pursed lips, lift one foot. Inhale through the nostrils. Lift the other foot. Keep going. And inhale up tall. And exhale, release the arms like wings of a bird and roll the shoulders. And lift the heart. And lift the inner collarbones. And lift the low back ribs away from the pelvis. And feel the shoulder blades on the back body helping you lift the heart. Lengthen the back of the neck. Tailbone earthward. Can you find space between the vertebrae of the back? Stretching the front chest open. Feel the work along the column of your spine to maintain this. Really lengthen base of skull away from base of shoulders. Exhale back up. Pause and invite sky between your vertebrae. Can you soften on the exhales and let the head of the arm bone relax? And let's reach for the ball and bring it behind the back, low back ribs. Okay. And grow taller. If you don't have a ball, they're called, this one isn't, but they're called Gertie balls from Small World Toys, $9.99. Inhale, lift the arms, interlace the fingers the funny way again today. Thumbs at the base of the skull. Let the head rest back into the palms. Traction the base of the skull away from the base of the neck. Tailbone earthward, lift the elbows, lengthening the spine. Breathe space between the vertebrae. Breathe length into the side bodies. Lift the low ribs away from the pelvis. Fluid breath, breathing into the low back ribs. Breathing space between the vertebrae. Let's exhale and come back up tall and release the palms to the femur bones. Feel into the spaciousness of your spine. Invite the spaciousness into your spine and allow the arm bones to relax away from the ears. Okay. Let's do one more stretch here before we stand up and close. Holding the hand, the left hand on the seat of the chair, just lean slightly away. Let this release. Let the other arm dangle and swing. Let it release. Can you stretch through the shoulder and neck here? Can you let go hypertension, shake the dangling arm? And then let's try the other side. We lean, we shake and release. We stretch through shoulder and neck. This side, we're letting go, letting loose. So as we stretch one side, can we be conscious of letting there be space and ease in the other side, letting go the tension. And then we come back to center. And let's bobble the head. Fluid breath. Softening. Okay. Let's make sure our seat is far enough back and bring the arms down beside us. Let's lift up, hands to the heart, lifting into our Utkatasana. Feet firm on the floor. Can you lengthen tailbone back, head long? Can you stay with fluid breath and allow the shoulders to be relaxed even as the shoulder blades are on the back body? Tailbone long. Breathe into the low back ribs. And then we release the arms, they dangle, and we float them up. Head of the arm bone releases down as we extend skyward. We come into a standing back bend, tailbone towards the earth, low back ribs resting back. We extend back, we lift the heart, we stretch the back body, shoulder blades supporting the heart, lift. We exhale, hands to the heart. Thank you for coming to class on YouTube. All right, see you next week. Have a great week.